All right. That feels better. Oh, I can't use it. Okay. Hopefully you get the notification to come back. Where can I? All right, who's on? Hi, Krista. Hi, Rachel. Sorry about the little hiccup there, guys. I'm just waiting for Sunita to jump on and then I can add her in and we can get started. How's your Mother's Day been? I hope you've had a lovely day. Are you on, Sunita? Oh, there you are. All right. Hey, how are you? Awesome, Rachel. What did you get up to? Did you get spoiled? Tell us.
Hi, Nikki. How are you?
How are you? Good, babe. How are you?
Good. Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah, same to you. Did you have a nice day?
I did. How about you?
Yeah, it was perfect. We went down to the beach down Gold Coast and laid around in the sun for a bit, and then we went into town and listened to some music. It was beautiful.
Oh, beautiful.
It was great.
Beautiful.
And I got some new bling, which is always nice.
Oh, pretty.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
When Griffin was born, I got given a ring for it as a push present, and I lost it. I was so devastated. So I'm pretty stoked to have another one back.
A new one. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
that's special.
awesome.
Oh, beautiful.
What did you get up to?
Well, we luckily had some sun today in Melbourne. The weather's been shocking here the last couple of days. So the sun came out for Mother's Day, so it was really nice. We just had lunch with my mum and my son, just at a local cafe, and then just kind of potted around a bit, which was really nice. And he made me breakfast this morning. His version of a healthy breakfast, which was a wholemeal toast with Nutella, ice cream, and strawberries.
I love it.
So the wholemeal part was the healthy part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. Did it taste good?
Yeah. It did.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. Nice. Beautiful thought. And he set up the table with some crystals and things, so put a lot of thought into it. So yeah,
what a
really sweet.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
Did you get a photo with him?
I've got to think now. Yeah, I think I did manage to get a selfie today. Yeah, we did at lunch.
Awesome. Mine wouldn't have a bar of it.
Like, yeah, I know. Oh, I know. And it gets harder as they get older because mine's 9 now, and it's like, no, do we have to take a photo?
Oh, no, I don't want that to ever happen. All right, so let's get into it. So guys, make sure you say hello when you jump on so that we know who's here. And if you do have any questions throughout the live, type them in the comments because I can see things popping up and I will try to answer them. Any that we don't get to, I will be sure to go back and answer, and Sunita will have a look at as well. But yeah, make sure you say hi so we know who's here. All right, so Sunita, such a pleasure to have you here.
Yes.
Thank you. I've been so looking forward to this conversation because I'm really passionate about being a conscious parent and being mindful with my kids, and I think it's a really important conversation to be having. So yay, I'm stoked.
Yeah, and it aligns. It's on Mother's Day. How perfect.
Perfect. And we didn't even plan it. It was just meant to be, wasn't it?
Just aligned. Yeah, perfect timing. Yeah. No, thank you for having me.
Pleasure. All right, so first question I like to ask is, do you have a morning routine? And if so, what is it?
I always laugh when I get asked this question because I'm not a morning person. And I think there's this concept associated with, when you do yoga and meditation that you get up really early in the morning. But I'm naturally not a morning person. So, having a child, that kind of turned things around for me. You kind of just have no choice. You just have to become a morning person. But I think the way I got around was just having a really short morning routine, like not really pushing myself to get up super early, but having like a 10 to 15-minute routine, which just sets me up for the day. And what I generally do is just have a glass of hot water with lemon. And I just say to myself, just honoring my body, starting respecting my body in the right way. And then I'll either I like listening to something uplifting in the morning just to wake me up. Because again, I'm not naturally like one of those get out of bed and I'm awake people. So so I listen to uplifting. Abraham Hicks, I love her motivational kind of meditations, because they're just a bit more uplifting and energetic. So I do that, and I'll try and do a bit of movement. So if that's 10 minutes of sun salutations or hip rotations, or just something to get my body moving, because again, that waking it up, saying it's time to wake up.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
And how do you nourish? Are
Yeah.
you a healthy person? Like,
I try to be. I'm vegetarian, so I think that helps, because I'm quite conscious of already what I eat. But I do have my days where I fall into I think coffee is a big one for me. I've tried to give that up, but I feel like that's my one luxury of the day that I don't want to give up. And I think, well, I kind of do everything else right enough for me to have that little luxury or treat. And,
exactly.
but I think I'm generally quite conscious of what I eat, but I'm not also quite strict. So when I do go out with girlfriends and things like that, I'll have the glass of wine and, splurge, have some dessert, or, if I'm out with my son, we'll have the occasional chocolate, indulgent dessert thing. But I just think
it's all about balance. Hey,
it's all the balancing. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Your morning routine sounds perfect. I'm like you. I was not a morning person at all, and you just have to be with kids. You don't have a choice.
It's a shock,
but it's
to
definitely
the system,
that.
isn't it?
It really is. It really is. No more sleeping. So I'm like, oh.
I know. It gets a little bit better as they get older, though. I've found that it's gotten a bit better. Like, it's kind of stretched out to the weekends till about 8 or 8:30. You can get that sleep in. So yeah.
And I guess when they're a bit older too, they can kind of fend for themselves a bit more, so they can get up and make their own breakfast and get themselves sorted a bit more, can't they?
Yeah. And
see, the boys at the moment are so needy. Exactly. Healthy breakfast.
Well.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Coming.
I love it. Yeah. All right. So, how long have you been working in the holistic healing / therapy industry?
Yeah. So before I started in that, I was a pharmacist, so I did that for about 15 years. So I feel like that was kind of preparing me to get into the holistic side of things, because I was kind of on the flip side, where it was very medical and clinical, and everyone was just I was basically handing out drugs to people just to cover their symptoms, so band-aid their symptoms. And I always felt
so much of that happens.
Yeah, and I just feel like there's just something not right about it. And I just kept feeling this real kind of, oh my God, it's actually getting quite frustrating. I'm just handing out medications to people, and they don't even know half the time what the cause is, or they're not even, or they just think it's the easy way to deal with something is give me the pills and, it will fix my problem. But, and it was funny because I never took any medication, and, even when it came to having headaches, I'd be like, nah, I'm not taking Panadol. I'll reach for like the lavender oil and all the natural remedies. And people would laugh at me. They're like, well, you're a pharmacist and you don't keep Panadol or Nurofen at home. What kind of pharmacist are you? But it just it never fit with me. It just never really sat right with me. So I felt like there was already a lot of that, even when I was working as a pharmacist, that I just wanted to know if there was something wrong. Well, where's it coming from, or what's the cause of it? What's the
cause? Not
what's the deeper? What's your body trying to tell you? That if you're having constant headaches or constant anxiety, your body's actually talking to you and trying to tell you something. So, so I always kind of did my own research and, read up on a lot of things. I've always followed Deepak Chopra, who's in the States, and he's a holistic, holistic doctor. So I really love his approach, where he brings the science and the natural side of things together, and makes it, it's the more integrative approach where you can take the best of both
which makes
worlds
sense,
and
doesn't it?
make it work for you. Exactly. Yeah. And I'm
Cool.
also
So
quite
it's
lucky
something.
because, and because I brought up in an Indian family, Indian background. So there was a lot of use of even, things like turmeric and things like that were just used in everyday cooking. But since I've been more in the holistic side of things, I've realized, well, actually I was already exposed to a lot of that even before I started my official training, which was probably about 6 or 7 years ago now. But I feel like life was always preparing me for this in some way or the other.
Yeah. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
it's definitely something that gets overlooked so much, is that whole, oh, you've got a problem, let's just band-aid it, like you say, and
Exactly.
you'll be fine. But then as soon as you
Yeah.
take that band-aid off, the problem's still there, and they're not treating anything.
Yeah.
They're not actually getting to the root of the cause. It's just
Yeah.
covering it up just to
Yeah.
get them through, or make the money, the pharma companies.
Exactly.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. But I think the long term is then you're also numbing yourself from feeling a lot of emotion. So you're actually shutting your body down because you're suppressing what it's trying to tell you. Like when you're constantly, and I
Yeah,
know
exactly.
there's a place for medications like antidepressants when it is really chronic and severe, but I find that it's just being used so, so easily these days that it's almost numbing us as people. Like we're not actually stopping to say, well, actually, no, let's process what's going on in our bodies, and rather than just taking this magic pill every day. But it's really just not, it's not doing you any favors if, no.
And I see so much of that, like with women that I work with, or people that come to me and they're not, they're not well, and then all of a sudden they're on antidepressants, and I'm just like, oh, please don't do it to yourself. Like, I can help you get through this.
Yeah.
Just stay off the drugs.
Yeah.
They're not needed.
I know, and it's something that I'm really passionate about, because I feel like a lot's got to do with our, and this is probably getting a bit political, but it's got to do with our healthcare system, where it's actually cheaper to go and get a month of medication than it is to see a counsellor or a holistic practitioner.
Yes.
Like, it's just not encouraged enough, and it's not supported enough for people financially, because I hear people say, well, I'm interested in what you do, but it's just cheaper for me to go to the doctor and get my prescription filled. So, and that's an area
and
I'm
it's
really
easier.
passionate about changing. Yeah.
But people are lazy too and don't want to do the work. It's like weight loss. It's like, oh, give me the magic pill. There is no magic pill.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a whole other
it's a whole other thing which I'm really passionate about, and I could talk about for hours, but unfortunately
we need to have a coffee date one day and just go
exactly
back and forth.
It is the healthcare kind of system, I think. So but anyway, I hope I answered your question, because I feel like I went a bit off track there.
No, you did. That's awesome. Okay. So how did your personal journey lead you to working more so with, working and supporting with mothers more so?
Again, I feel like that kind of naturally evolved. So I started working, I think my personal journey was when I had my son, and it wasn't until I had my own retail business at the time when he was born, which was a pharmacy as well. But it was so stressful because it was also a retail business. So dealing with the business operation side of things of that. And then having him, and I was just like, I just can't be there for him the way I want to be there for him. Like, there was just this real conflict going on where I was at work and I was just really stressed out. And I was like, I was just always I never felt good enough, like doing anything, because when I was at work, I wasn't fully present. And then when I was with him, I wasn't fully present, because I always had this thing at the back of my mind, oh my God, I've got to get this done and that done. And, if someone calls in sick, it's my responsibility to pick up the pieces. So there was this huge conflict going on where I felt I just wasn't doing anything right. And, it was like I was literally in the middle of a breakdown, but I didn't know at the time. Like hindsight, I can see now that, you know, I was just literally going through a bit of a personal crisis where, you know, it's like my life before I had my son just wasn't suiting me after I had him, and I didn't really stop to integrate the fact that, hang on a minute, I've had this massive change, and I'm just continuing on as if nothing's happened, like with my normal life. And I think that's where the big realization came. And the turning point was when he was about 18 months old, and I thought, oh my God, I just have to do something because I can't keep going on like this anymore. And I literally dropped everything, and I went to Bali for, I think it was a 7-day yoga retreat. At the time, I'm like, I don't even know how I'm going to get away for 7 days, and where am I going to leave my son? And, you know, there was all these logistics, but I just knew I had to make this major change in my life. Otherwise, I was going to crash, or, you know, something drastic was going to happen. And it was when I gave myself that 8 days of just purely being with myself, being in this nurturing space, you know, with women. It was a women's retreat as well. It's just so many buttons clicked at the time where, like, you know, I've just got to stop. I can't keep going on like this anymore. And I've got to really now take some time to integrate the fact that I've had this massive change. You know, I've become a mum, and, you know, my body's changed, psychologically I've changed, emotionally I've changed. So I'm not that same person that I was before, you know, I gave birth to him. But I never really stopped until he was 18 months to take that into account and give myself that time as well. So I think that was the major turning point. And then, yeah, while I was there, I made the decision I'm going to come back and sell the business. And my relationship was also kind of on the rocks at the time, and it ended up, you know, that I ended the relationship as well. But I just needed that time to myself to make these major decisions. And I think that's what was lacking, that I never gave myself that space until then to actually say, no, I need to just stop and reassess where, you know, what do I want out of this? And, you know, what changes do I need to make for myself?
Yeah, and it quite often it's, you know, we get so caught up in the day-to-day, and we're so busy that we forget to be still with ourselves and actually listen to ourselves and go, okay, well, this is actually what's going on right now. And it's not until you remove yourself entirely from that situation that you can sit in that stillness and really ask yourself those questions and get the answers that you need, which sounds like is what happened to you. So through
exactly
that, you just got that. Yeah, awesome. So through that, you just got that driving force to want to help other women with the same things? Or?
Yeah, so I started off working with women in general, and then I realised it was, the mums were drawn to me anyway. And it was funny because they say, like, you know, you attract the people that, you know, that you can help naturally. And it was funny because without even saying, you know, I work with mums, they're the people that were drawn to me. And I was also one of the first out of my whole group of girlfriends to become a mum. I was 29, so at the time it was considered quite young. So later on, when they all started having kids 5 or 6 years later, it was funny because they were coming to me for advice, and I was thinking, oh my God, that's really funny, because again, I feel like it was like that was my role, like to kind of be a bit of a mentor to them as well. And it was also something I didn't have when I became a mum. Like, I had my mum, but she, coming from a different country and different generation, there was, you know, again, different challenges that she had to what I had. So she didn't fully understand what I was going through, although she was there to support me in looking after my son whenever I needed that. But I think it was the emotional support, which the challenges were quite different in her generation to what I had. So yes, I feel like, again, naturally, I just started becoming a bit of a mentor to other mums around me. And, you know, having my son quite young at the time, I'd gone through what they were going through. So it was almost like, well, it's my responsibility to pass it on, you know, what I've gone through, and to let them know that, you know, that they're not on their own. Like, a lot of times it can be really isolating because you kind of think, well, what's wrong with me? You know, am I the only one that's feeling like this? And am I not, you know, am I just not doing something right, or why am I finding it so difficult? But I just think when you reach out, you just realize that you're not the only one that's feeling that way.
And that's the like the massive dangers, especially with social media now, is that you know, everyone only ever sees highlight reels. No one really gets down and dirty and talks about the really hard stuff, you know. So it's amazing to have that kind of support around you where you know you're not the only one that's really struggling. You know you've got a tribe of women around you who are going through the shit as well, you know. It's so important. So it sounds like it just really naturally evolved for you, which is amazing. It's the best way, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it
awesome.
Is. Yeah.
So what does it actually mean to be a mindful mum?
I think to me it means so being mindful, I feel, is far from being perfect. You know, I think there's this conception that, you know, if you're mindful, you're just zen all the time, or, you know, you're just so calm and so at peace with yourself. But I think that's a product maybe of practicing mindfulness, but I don't think being mindful means, you know, that it's just far from being perfect. I think it's just being aware of how you're feeling, being aware that whatever you're going through doesn't define who you are. So, you know, if you're having a bad day, that doesn't mean you're a bad mum. You're just having a bad day, you know. Or if you're feeling angry or frustrated, that, again, it doesn't define how you are as a mother. It's just being aware that it's a feeling, and you can separate yourself from that if you're just aware of it. And just I think a lot of self-compassion as well comes into it. Again, just being really compassionate to yourself and kind to yourself, like listening to the way you talk to yourself, because that inner critic is so strong when you're a mum. Like, you know, and again, like what you said earlier about social media, like you only see the highlights. So here you are comparing yourself to this unrealistic, you know, view of what it should be to be a mum, like, you know, in your active wear and, you know, going for walks every day and with your
Insta hubby taking your photos.
Maybe a small part of it, you know.
Exactly. And you don't see what goes on behind closed doors. You don't see the meltdowns or the tantrums or
No. So so I think a big part of it is just, you know, being aware of how are you treating yourself and how are you talking to yourself, and then I think that kind of reflects back onto your kids as well, that, you know, when they see how you treat yourself, I think they naturally pick up on that behavior of, you know, how they will start treating themselves as well. Because, you know, I think that's another great example is kids don't learn what you tell them, they see what you do and pick up on that. So if they see that, you know, you're always criticizing yourself, they're going to pick up on that, whether it's out loud or, you know, any other kind of way that you're doing it.
Definitely. And you kind of answered my next question, which was around how being mindful can actually impact the people around you. And it's so true. Like, your kids learn everything from you in those years of 0 to 7. Like, they're just little sponges. We're just programming them constantly. And a lot of people, I think, put a lot of focus on the words that they're saying, which are important, but it's also the actions. Hey. And that's why I think, like, I would try really hard to make sure that my boys see me looking after myself, taking care of myself, making time for myself.
Exactly.
And same with their dad.
Exactly.
And caring for myself, so that they know that they can do that for themselves, and that their partners are going to be able to do that for themselves as well.
Yeah, I think that's so important. And exactly what you said. I think it's the actions as well. Like, when they see that you're doing something to look after yourself, that shows them that, you know, well, that's what I should be doing as well. Like, you know, and that's what you want to instill in them, is that kind of self-responsibility and self-care from an early age.
Absolutely. It's so important. And those belief systems, like, it's just, and it's something I'm so passionate about, because it really affects, like, I had a lot of troubles growing up, and I wasn't taught the right things when I was a kid. You know, I wasn't taught how to love myself. I wasn't taught how to be kind and gentle with myself. And these things that a lot of parents aren't even aware of how important it is to be teaching these kids these things at such a young age. And it just, I just want to shake people and be like, just be really careful, like, be really conscious, and do the work on yourself so that you can lead and show your kids,
so
you know, there's a better way.
So true. And I do that with my mums as well, that I work with, because a lot of those self-beliefs come, or ancestral beliefs actually from generations are passed down, that, well, when you become a mum, you've got to sacrifice this and sacrifice that, or there's all these labels that you're a bad mum if you go to the gym 3 times a
Go
week
back
and
to
leave
work.
your child, or so there's all these beliefs that are passed down, and I think that's where the danger is, because we're following those. Well, we're carrying these beliefs until we do the work on ourselves, but then we're passing that down to our kids if we don't. Someone has to break the cycle, somewhere. So yeah,
absolutely. And I really think that's something that's like our generation is very much the cycle breakers, because I see so many women and so many people our age that are like the ones that are just going, we're the change makers, hey. And I think it's incredible. It's such a cool thing to be a part of.
I know. I think we're very lucky, this time and era,
Definitely. So how do you think, like, because you said for the first 18 months you were quite like full on and not being mindful at all. So compared to that 18 months and then later in life, how has your son benefited from you starting to practice mindfulness or being mindful for mama?
I think with him, because we're total like opposite. So he's very analytical. He's very intellectual. Like he needs to know the facts. Like, if something is the way it is, well, what's the fact behind it? Whereas I'm like, well, I don't need a fact. I'm happy with feeling into something, and if I feel that feels right, that's all I need. So we're actually complete opposite. And I did a blog about this once, is that your child chooses you to be their mum as part of like a soul contract, and they come into your life to teach you something about yourself, and you're there to guide them as well. So I feel like we've come into each other's lives because he's so organized and so analytical, and he really loves routine. So I think I've taught him through mindfulness, well, sometimes it's okay to go with the flow, and if things don't go your way, it's okay. Like, you, rather than getting upset or uptight about it or getting really rigid about it, there might be something else that's supposed to come out of that situation that could even be better than what the original, outcome was supposed to be. So I think what it's taught him is adaptability and going with the flow a little bit more. Which awesome. I think it's helpful, especially at this age where, they're at school and, things happen, like, there are incidents that happen, kids might say something, and I just think if they're a bit more adaptable and aware that, it doesn't always have to be a particular way, then I think it just helps them. So how do you
teach that to him? Like, how do you help him, like, to understand what mindfulness is?
Again, I don't think I teach him. I think I do it myself. And I think he picks up on it. And this is a great example, because I sometimes feel like, when I'm telling him, he's rolling his eyes and going, oh, here we go again. And, you're telling me to, stop and be present and this and that. But I was I think, I don't know where I was the other day, and I was on my phone and I didn't listen to what he was saying something to me, and I didn't hear what he was saying. And then he actually said to me, he goes, Mum, stop being on your phone because you're missing out on life. And I'm like, what? I just like literally stopped in my tracks. And I'm like, did you just say that? Like, really? Did that just happen? But it was actually a really proud moment for me, because I just thought, oh my God, so something has actually rubbed off on him.
That makes me emotional. That's so good.
I know. Love it. It was actually like, so again, I just felt it was confirmation that you don't have to preach to them. I think if you're just constantly doing it around them and they're watching you do it, I think they'll pick up on it. They have to pick up on it, when they're surrounded by it.
And that's the thing. So it's that whole, like, just showing up as what you want to be in this world, showing up as that mindful parent, and they're going to, like you say, pick up on it. They're so impressionable that they watch and observe everything and just take it on board.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So do you do meditation or anything? Sorry, do you do meditation or anything with them?
With him, well, I'll listen to, usually in the mornings, I'll have my meditation or the affirmations going on in the background. And again, he'll sometimes be rolling his eyes going, oh, do we have to listen to this again? And, but I just feel like he's picking up on it in those ways.
I reckon he loves it.
Yeah, I think secretly he does, because I heard him, I think again, I eavesdropped when he was having a conversation with his friend, and he said something about mindfulness or meditation, and it was almost like he was telling his friend, teaching him something about it. And I'm thinking, it's so funny because with me, he's like, oh, mum, really, do we have to do this? But then when I heard
Yeah.
him talking to his friend, I'm like, no, he is, enjoying this, and he's, yeah, picking up on it, and well, I think he's taking what he wants from it as well, the
Yeah,
parts that he
absolutely.
might enjoy, or
And I think
yeah,
it's
yeah,
even more important for boys. Like women, it's so
mm,
acceptable to be, holistic and spiritual and embrace those parts
mm,
of ourselves. It's kind of, expected because we're feminine. But for
yeah,
guys, for boys, especially little boys who are trying to figure out
yeah,
who they are, um,
yeah,
to kind of feel safe to be able to explore that stuff is
mm,
so important. And
yeah,
to change that mentality, to change that boys
mm,
don't cry, boys don't have emotions,
exactly,
man up, where's your
yeah,
backbone, like that kind of stuff. To change that stuff is just so,
yeah,
so important. It's gonna, because
it
like,
is,
I don't know if
yeah.
you know, but the suicide rates in Australia are between, like, among men are ridiculously high, like
Yeah,
out
and
of
it's
control high.
teenage, young
Yes,
men, and that's it. It's really sad. It makes me really sad because I just feel like a lot of it is just suppressed emotion that they're not safe to
absolutely. They don't know how to
express.
process.
Yeah,
Exactly. And if they do try
yeah,
to express, they are just shunned or,
mm,
taken the piss out of, and it
yeah,
just breaks my heart because it doesn't have to be that way. And having
yeah,
two boys, like it
mm,
freaks me
it,
out. Like,
yeah,
and the
mm,
fact that, like, even the thought of teaching them to be mindful, teaching them to practice mindfulness
yeah,
and be a bit more holistic and emotionally aware,
mm,
and worrying
yeah,
about how they're going to be, if they're going to be bullied or if they're going to be,
yeah,
shunned or picked on for being that way, and how they're going to hold. And it's just like, oh my God, there's so
yeah.
much pressure on me right
I
now
know, I
to
know. Yeah,
set them
but
up with the
again,
right stuff.
I think when if you give them that space to express, how they're feeling, and you say, well, yeah, it's okay to cry. You don't have to. Instead of saying, oh, don't be upset about this, which I heard a lot growing up, even as a girl. Like, in the
Mm,
Indian culture, emotions weren't always expressed. It was always like, oh, no, you don't have to cry about that, or it's okay, or
yeah.
yeah. So yeah, so I think
I
again,
heard it.
just
At the beach today, there was a little girl who was building a sandcastle, and something happened, and something got knocked over. I think a dog maybe ran through because we were at a dog beach, and she started crying. And I heard her
mm,
grandmother say to her, "Stop crying. You don't need to cry about
yeah,
that." And I just wanted
yeah,
to walk over there and say, "Look, just allow her to cry. She can cry.
yeah,
She's upset. Allow her to feel what she's feeling."
yeah,
And give her a
mm,
hug and tell her it's okay.
yeah,
Don't tell her that she should stop crying, because you'll do it. That's damage. That's
yeah,
doing damage. Like, and we were the same.
yeah,
It was always, stop crying. Don't be silly. You're fine.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
like,
Or that's
well,
nothing to cry about, and I'm just like,
yeah,
but how would you know how I'm feeling? And to say that's nothing to
exactly.
cry. So yeah, I think again, like we're just lucky because I think there is that movement of awareness and conscious parenting around us. So I think we do have the tools to pass down to our kids, and I think even
Mm,
some of the schools are getting really good with practicing mindfulness at school, which I think is
yeah,
massive, like
fantastic.
a massive shift going on. So just hopefully that things keep moving in that direction. But yeah, definitely there is more work to be done, and yeah, especially around boys and expressing
Yes.
emotions in a healthy way. Yeah.
Yeah. And I find too that I find Australia is very much that macho mentality. Like, I grew
Mm.
up in New Zealand, and there's still a macho mentality, but I just don't feel like it was as bad as it is here. And
Mm.
I'm imagining, is India, like, because did you grow up in India?
No, so I was born here, but I mean,
Or you were born here?
I spent a lot of time over there growing up, and then I grew up in a big extended family here in Melbourne,
Yeah, cool. So
big Indian family.
what's the like masculine mentality? Is it a
So
macho?
again,
Because
yeah, it is quite macho. It's about, again, like, boys don't cry. There is that whole
okay,
mentality, and there's also a lot of pressure on what, like, so if you're a man, you have to provide the finances. So you've got to be in a really great profession. And I think that puts a lot of added pressure on, again, boys. Oh, you have to be a lawyer, doctor, engineer. So that, I think that pressure as well is not very, when it's kind of pushed on you, it's just not healthy.
You got to be the provider.
Yeah, got to be the provider. So there is again a lot of that kind of real masculine kind of, yeah.
And I feel like it's an area that's really overlooked, because there is so much focus that goes on to women, like so much focus around, you know, feminism and women's rights and all that kind of stuff. But we actually forget that there's a lot of shit that men have to put up with too. And there's a lot of labels and limitations and beliefs that men or boys are growing up with that are equally as damaging, you know, and really need to be addressed.
Definitely, yeah. But I think even with the whole feminist movement, I think a big part of it is empowering the boys, like, you know, how to treat women in their lives, and again by example as well. Like, you know, it can even start off by how I would teach my son to treat me. Like, you know, well, that's, you know, that you treat women with respect. So I think even with the whole feminist movement, it is about educating our boys as well as our girls. Like, you know, the boundaries definitely come into it, but then we've got to really educate the boys as well on, you know, how to treat women and what's respectful and what's not respectful. So
absolutely. And it's like, and then I feel sometimes like I'm just kind of bashing my head up against a wall, because there's still so many people out there that are in that real chauvinistic, misogynistic kind of mentality, and they're raising boys, and you kind of feel like, oh, you know, am I making a difference? Is what I'm doing actually going to, you know, affect me? Like, I've only got 2 boys. I want to have more boys so I can raise more, you know, amazing, emotionally weird boys. But it's like, every little bit helps, hey? Like, you just got to keep going, and it'll eventually shift, because it's got to. Otherwise, we're just all going to kill each other.
Yeah,
it's not going to.
Yeah, and I just think every little thing, it's that whole ripple effect. Like, you know, if you've got 2 boys, but if you're teaching them, you know, the right things, they're going to go out there and make that difference in the world. So it's that whole ripple effect as well. So I don't think anything goes unnoticed, you know, when you are trying to make that difference. I think nothing goes unnoticed. I think one of my biggest things is worrying that they won't have the confidence to actually stand up and be the one that says to the bully, that's not okay. Or if their mate is bullying someone and says, nah, that's not okay, mate, you need to stop that. Like, I want them to be the confident ones, the ones that stand and so self-assured that they go, you know what, this isn't right, and I'm not going to put up with this, and I'm going to go and be mates with that guy that you're bullying because you're a douche and he's all right, kind of thing. So I'm so passionate. I know. It's constant, but I think as mums, I always constantly worry about the same thing. Like, you know, is he going to be confident enough to stand up to the bullies and all of that? But I think you've just got to really, as hard as it is, just trust that, you know, if you're teaching them the right things and, you know, having boundaries, that hopefully it does, benefit them in that way. But you kind of still want to bubble wrap them. To all of that.
Little boys, because they're so sweet now. Like, they love cuddles, and they're just so beautiful, and I just don't want that to ever change.
I know.
So sweet. Guys, if you're just jumping on, make sure you say hello, and if you do have any questions, please pop them, shoot them in the comments so that we can answer them along the way. All right, so what would be some common signs that you are not, and, you know, could possibly be needing to practice more mindfulness? Like, what could be showing up for you, for the mums?
If they need to be practicing more, or if they're not practicing.
So if they're not practicing mindfulness, if they're like, are they quite reactive? Like, what kind of external things happen when you're not necessarily practicing mindfulness?
I think one of the biggest signs is overwhelm with mums, especially, like just that feeling of overwhelm and anxiety. You know, the overwhelm becoming anxiety, and then that leading to maybe a bit of agitation or frustration, and also being a bit scattered, I think, like, you know, just being a bit like, all over the place. So trying to do everything but doing nothing. I think that's a big sign of it as well. Yeah.
Definitely. And I also find when I'm not being mindful, I'm way more reactive.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I think,
Like
yeah,
I'll
the
just,
mindfulness makes you kind of step back from a situation or, you know, a conversation and really come from a place of just being more aware, more self-aware.
yeah, cool.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
not reactive.
So what would you kind of say that your 3 top tips would be on how to kind of start practicing mindfulness a bit more, or bringing more mindfulness into daily life? How
I
can
think
they
just
get
starting
started?
from, yeah, just starting with something you actually enjoy doing. So whether that be, um, you know, for me, it's always been water. I've always been a water person. So swimming was a big thing for me where I felt like when I was in the water, I could just shut off from everything and just be present and be in the moment. So I think pick one thing that you actually really enjoy doing, whether it's cooking or walking. Yeah, just something that you actually enjoy where you can just shut off and just do that one thing and focus on that one thing.
Be
Yeah, for
present. And I definitely,
5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. You know, even starting 5 minutes a day and then building it
yeah.
up gradually to 10 minutes a day. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Because I definitely find like when I am feeling like this last week, I've been sick, I've been really busy with work, and I've been feeling that overwhelmed, like starting to think like creep in.
Mm,
And
yeah.
yesterday I worked all day because I was like, tomorrow I just need to have a day where I'm not on social media.
Yeah.
I am
Yeah.
connecting with my family and being present with my kids and just
Mm,
enjoying time and
yeah.
reducing the noise in my mind, because there was so
Yeah.
much like, oh, I've got to do this, I've got to do this, I've got to do this. And I was all over the place. And like you
Yeah.
said, getting nothing done. And it was just stressing me out. I was getting overwhelmed and anxious and like
Yeah.
breath. And a
Just
breath is a
breathe.
big
Just
thing.
breathe. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. And
Take
again,
that
like, you know,
breath in.
when you're feeling, I find I get like that as well, because there are times where I'm not practicing mindfulness and there are times where I'm just like, oh, you know, things are just going crazy. But I think the quickest way is just connecting back to your body. So just even placing one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly and just breathe, you know. Sometimes it's as simple as that, just connecting back to your body.
It
Yeah,
really
and
is. Yeah.
breath.
And I find
Yeah.
that's always the thing that brings me back down to earth, because that's what I feel like. I
Mm.
feel like when I'm really stressed and overwhelmed and I'm not being mindful, I'm all up here.
Yeah.
And I need to bring
Yeah.
myself back into my body,
Back
back
to
into my
earth.
stomach,
Yeah.
back to my chest,
Yeah.
my heart, and connect myself back with the earth and ground myself.
Yeah.
And breath
Mm.
is just amazing for that. Like that's my
Yeah.
go-to every time. It's like, stop, Nick,
Breathe.
and then
Yeah.
go again and
Yeah.
go and ask yourself that question: what do I need right now? What do I
Yeah.
need right now? And
Exactly.
listen
Yeah.
to that.
And sometimes it's saying no. Sometimes it's just having the boundaries and just saying no. Like, you know, I'm not committing to this, this, and this because it's actually not serving me right now. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a hard lesson that I had to learn as well, was just saying no. You know, I'm not going to say yes to everything and everyone, because
Yeah.
that's when I do get in that state of overwhelm and just like, oh, you know, too much going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. I think we as women
Yeah.
feel like we have to be giving everything, doing everything and being
Yep.
at every like every what's the word? Oh my God, I've just
Like really
completely.
strong nurturers. We just
Yeah,
have
but
that
like
really
going to
inbuilt
every event and
strong nurturer in us as well. Yeah.
yeah, and we feel like if we say
Mm,
no, then we're letting people down. And that was a
yeah.
massive turning point for me. It's like now if someone asks me to do something and it's not in alignment, or if my body's just
Mm,
going no, it's
no.
a no.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's okay. I don't feel guilty about that at all.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a lesson, but I think it's a lesson so many women need to learn, and I'm still learning it, because I still feel like sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I don't know how to say no to this, or you know, you go into that whole story in your head that, you know, oh, you know, I'm that nice person, so I can't say no, or what's someone going to think of me?
Mm,
So I think it's getting out of
yeah.
that story in your head as well. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to let them down, or they're not going to want to, be my friend
Yeah,
anymore. They're not going to call on
exactly.
me ever again. Like
Yeah.
the stuff that we make up in our minds is just crazy. It's out
Yeah.
of
The
control.
stories in the head. Yep.
Yeah. Yes. Um, awesome. I have loved this chat. Is there anything else that you want to
So have
leave
I.
leave with the women who are on and Any other little
No,
tips
just
or any other ways to connect back to mindfulness if they're feeling like out of whack?
I think just connecting, yeah, connecting back in with yourself, checking in, and just really listening to what's, you know, what's going on with what's your body asking of you in moment to moment, because it changes as well. So just, you know, taking that couple of minutes when you are feeling a bit anxious or overwhelmed, like stop breathing and, you know, stop and breathe, and then connect back in and say, well, yeah, what is it that my body's asking of me in this moment? Yeah.
Do you journal much?
Um, Again, I try to. It's something like I'll try and do at night if I'm not too tired. But yeah, I think that's another great way of just processing whatever's going on here, processing it, and giving it, you know, giving it a voice as well on paper.
Yeah,
So yeah, I think that's a
absolutely.
really healthy outlet.
I love journaling, and I struggled with it for a long time because I never knew how. Like, I always kind of was like, well, what do I write? What do I say? Like, how do I get started? It was always like, it just seems silly. Am I just writing random? Is it like a Dear Diary or what?
Yeah.
But yeah, once I started really getting into it, I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
So anyone watching, if you want to know some journal prompts, if journaling is something that you want to get into, just comment in the section below and I can shoot you through some journal prompts to get you started on that, because it really is a powerful way of clearing shit and moving through stuff. It's incredible. All right, so I've got 3 rapid fire questions for you to finish up.
Okay.
So what was the last book that you read?
The last book I read, The Universe Has Your Back.
Or listened to? Oh,
The Universe
did
Has
you?
Your Back
Is it
by
good?
Gabrielle Bernstein. I loved it. So I read it when I was in Byron. So I'm not, I'll start reading a lot of books and then I, you know, sometimes don't get through them, but I read this whole book in like a week and I just loved it because just, it's a really easy read. So if you're looking for like a really easy read, I think it's such a great book. And just it's got some great messages as well about, you know, connecting with universal energy and raising your vibration and just knowing that, you know, the universe is working for you, even when it seems like it's not. It's actually working for you.
This is the 3rd time that this book has come into my vicinity, you're right, into my world in the last couple of days, so I've got to get it. That's my sign.
Yeah, definitely. Highly recommend
get my
it.
hands on. Yeah, awesome. What did you have for lunch today?
Oh, we went out to this really nice local cafe and I got this what was it? It was like it was actually pretty healthy, so it wasn't an exciting kind of Mother's Day indulgent lunch, but it was just a kale salad with white beans, avocado, and halloumi cheese. But it was delicious.
God,
yeah.
Oh, that sounds so good.
It was really, really good. Yeah.
Give me halloumi. Awesome. And what is your favorite quote or mantra that you can leave us with?
I'm gonna go. I've got a few, but I'm gonna go with just be you, and the world will adjust.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that. Where did you hear that?
It's so simple.
Yeah.
I don't know where I actually heard it, but it's just stuck with me, and it was just like, yeah, there's nothing else you need to be because everyone else is taken. So just be you, and the world will adjust. Like, yeah.
That is
it's so
awesome.
Simple. Yeah.
I'm probably going to claim that and chuck that on my page at some point.
it.
Or you can share it on my page. I'll
Okay.
tag you in it and make sure that I give you credit because I love that. Be you and the world will adjust.
Yeah.
Love that. Awesome. Oh,
Simple.
Sky, the name of the book is The Universe Has Your Back.
Yeah. Gabrielle Bernstein is the author's name.
Cool. And one last question. How can we support you? So you've got Facebook groups or websites or books or anything that we can check out?
I've got a Facebook group, which it's not a massive group, because I started it last year, but I do share videos and tips in that group. I've also I've got a self-care guide of the 5 essential self-care rituals for the busy mum or, you know, modern day mum, which I'm happy to share if anyone wants. So if they want to send me a message or shoot me an email. I can give them my email address if they want. I can send them a PDF. Yeah, it's just a really simple guide of the 5 essential self-care steps, which have helped me a lot, and I think they're quite easy to incorporate. So happy to share that.
Awesome,
yeah,
guys. If you want a copy
Facebook
of that,
group.
just pop it in the comments and let Sunita know that you want a copy. Sorry, and the Facebook group, wasn't it?
And the Facebook group at the moment. And I'm working on an online program which isn't finished yet, but I'm very excited about that. It's going to be a 4-week online program, and each week we're going to dive into an archetype of being a mother archetype. So one week it might be the playful mum, one week it will be the wise mum. So I'm working on that at the moment, which I'm really excited about. So that's going to be hopefully in the next few weeks or month or so. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. All right. Well, I might get you to pop a link to your Facebook group in the comments as well. And yeah, if anyone wants a copy of the 5 steps to self-care, was it?
Yeah, the 5, essential step care guide. Yeah, step care, self-care. Yeah. I'm mumbling my words,
It's getting late. So pop a comment as well, guys, if you want a copy of that, and Sunita will send that out to you, or you can shoot her a PM, up to you.
Okay.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome.
I've loved having this conversation with you. Thanks for having
me. My pleasure. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your Mother's Day. Is little man in bed?
You too. Almost. He's my mum lives downstairs, so he's with her at the moment, and
nice.
I think it's going to be time for bed now.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, beautiful. Go and have cuddles and enjoy.
I will. You enjoy the rest of your Mother's Day too, and everyone else watching. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Much love.
You too. Bye, Nikki. Bye.